Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. Today we have a special guest. This is Stephanie. I know her through Dr. Kiltz's coaching certification group, and she's awesome. I really love her, and she always brings an uplifting attitude to everything. So, Stephanie, what is your carnivore experience? How did you
Well,
start?
thanks, Alia. It is amazing to be here with you. And I have absolutely loved your energy and your clarity and the way that you talk about this carnivore journey. And I know it'll be inspiring to so many people of all ages, but especially to young people as well, the younger people find this, the better it actually is. So, how did I start my carnivore journey then? I feel like I've been looking for health for all my life. As a kid, I had eczema quite badly all over my legs and arms, and sometimes I would bleed it until the pus came out and it was bleeding. Sometimes I would scratch it rather till it was bleeding. It kind of felt very soothing to scratch it, but at the same time it was horrible at the same time. And I had quite severe asthma. Now I get that they're related, and it was probably that I had issues in my gut. And it looks like I'm potentially one of those who's quite allergic to some of the plant foods. Or maybe it's a combination of I was eating meat, but maybe not enough meat to heal up those areas that were damaged. But as I grew older, I grew out of it. There was no reason given, but I didn't have it anymore. So maybe my gut did heal. But I always struggled with my weight. And I was once, and I'm going to translate this into American, which I believe it's American size 24. I was, or is that the right way around? No, it was UK size 20. So that's American size 16. So I was American size 16 and now in American size 6. And sometimes I lost the weight eating, normal diet, but I was eating sort of a keto version. Because I'd sort of intuitively worked out, okay, fruits and veg are healthy. I thought that was the gospel. Fruit and veg are healthy. How wrong I was, as it turns out. But fruit and veg are healthy. You need some protein, so put some eggs with it. Previous to that, I'd been eating a lot of porridge and things. But so I was eating that way and I thought I was being healthy. I would have times where I would have a juice retreat or something, or I would just do green smoothies and things like that. Now I realize I was just basically flooding my body with sugar. And then a couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. And stage 4 is like an end level disease stage of the disease, and also ovarian cancer is quite an aggressive growing cancer, and it's usually only found in the end stages because in the early stages there are very few symptoms, and the symptoms that you do get usually can be seen as something else, like you might feel some discomfort in your stomach and things like that, which could be anything, indigestion or a million other things. So it's usually not found till late on. And that was the case for me. And when I looked it up after I got back from the doctor, it said on Cancer UK, I'm based in the UK, obviously, with the accent. Anyway, on Cancer UK, it said um, only 15% of women with this diagnosis will still be alive 5 years after diagnosis. And that's 1-5, not 50. So that was quite scary to read, but also it gave me a lot of freedom because I thought to myself, well, if I do everything the doctors say, this is what they're giving me, a 15% chance of being here. And who knows what condition those people are in, whether they're living a full, vibrant, healthy life or whether they're just hanging on by a thread. I don't know which it is. So once I got that diagnosis, I was heartbroken and devastated and upset, and I was crying a lot. I would, if somebody said hello to me or gave me a hug or said, "How are you?" I would just, I would just burst into tears because it was such a state of heightened emotion for quite a few months after the diagnosis. And I, I'm very close with my sister. We are coaches together, and we ran a business together for many years, even before we became coaches. And we live very close to each other. We see each other every day. We've been there for each other for over 50 years. Everything that's happened in my life of any note, she knows about it. And, you know, I just thought we would always be laughing and bickering and all the things together for into old age. And our mum is moving to be closer to both of us. It's just the two siblings that my mum and dad have, and my mum's moving closer to us. And I thought the three of us would be just there like little old ladies. And also, I have a son, Alex, who's an adult, and he lives in Birmingham. And I had just thought I would just be there if Alex has any kids, or even if he doesn't. But you know how the mums are sometimes. We're hopeful. We're hopeful about the grandkids. So it was really felt like all of this had been stolen from me. And it took me a while just to really accept that maybe my life won't be as long as I had thought it might be. Maybe it won't, and that's okay. And just let go of the angst and the pain of it and just let it be what it is. That doesn't mean that I was just sitting back and just seeing what happened. Not at all. I was out there or in here. I was researching because I was confused as to how did I get sick because I was so healthy. I was eating so healthy. I was doing everything in my mind correctly. So why have I got this level of sickness? It just taught me that whatever I thought I knew about health was wrong. And so that opened me up to really finding out what else was out there. And I continued looking, and I was searching on YouTube, and I found a video, and I went back later on and in my YouTube history to see exactly which video did I find first. Because now I know the knowledge. It's hard to remember the time when you don't know, when you're totally oblivious, when you're going around thinking that your spinach is the best thing you could be doing for yourself. So I met online. The first video I watched about carnivore was by Lisa D, and she's do you know her? No, no. She's a lifestyle blogger. And she talks about clothes and home, and she looks super glamorous. She's in her 50s. She's got long blonde hair, and she's very slim. And she talks, is it she talks Southern, or maybe I'm getting that wrong? But she's got a beautiful American accent. And okay, I'm doing it all wrong, I know here, but I like I like her. Anyway, she was on there looking very glamorous, and she had a headline as something about a diet that works over 50, and it's a bit weird. I can't remember whether she said she was eating meat, but I that was enough for me to click and see what are people doing that look like Lisa D. And so I went on Lisa D, Lisa D, she's called, and I was quite surprised, but at the same time, it made sense kind of weirdly. And you know how sometimes you don't have the evidence, you don't know why you know, but you just know. So I just knew this was it. I thought, this is it. I can't believe I have been cutting out the meat. I even went vegetarian and vegan over the years. I thought, I can't believe I've been cutting everything out. Anyway, the same day I went down the rabbit hole with all the other YouTube stars of carnivore. And over time, not necessarily in that same day, but over time, there were 3 facts that made me know that my intuition was correct and I'm now on the right path. And my previous path had been so wrong, it was ridiculous. And the 3 truths that I realized, which are biological facts that no one will dispute, And the first one is that biologically, humans only need 2 of the 3 macronutrients. So we've got proteins, we've got fats, and we've got carbohydrates. I thought we needed them all. But no, biologically, we only need essential fatty acids, aka fats, and essential amino acids, aka proteins. And in actual fact, it's not just any fat or any protein, it's natural animal fats and natural animal proteins. And that is just to go into what exactly we're talking about. With protein, we're talking about meat, we're talking about fish, we're talking about eggs, and we're talking about dairy products, the natural ones that don't have sugar and chemicals added and that are full fat. So those are the foods that have all of the nutrients we need when we include the fat that comes with them. When we include the fat that comes with them, they have all the nutrients we need. All of the carbohydrates are entirely optional, including fruit and vegetables. And in fact, they can be harmful, as I later learned, for some people who are more sensitive. So that was fact number 1 that blew me away. We only need protein and fat. So why do our food guidelines say eat 60 to 70% of your calories from carbohydrates? I just couldn't get my head around how both of those things could be true. The second thing that made me realize this is correct is all carbohydrates are sugar. So whether it's quinoa, seems so healthy, whether it's a sweet potato, whether it's tomatoes, whether it's any veg, any fruit, any grain, anything savory, crackers, crisps, it's all sugar in the body in digestion. And not only are all carbs sugar, but our bodies can only tolerate between 4 to 6 grams of sugar at any one time, depending how big or small we are. So if we're bigger, maybe we can get up to 6 grams of sugar. If we're smaller, we will top out at 4 grams of sugar. So again, that tells me we're not designed to eat a lot of carbs. Our biology does not work that way. That is why so many of us now have type 2 diabetes. In the UK, over 76% of people over 40 are overweight or obese. And, you've got similar numbers in America. And so that was the second one. All carbs are sugar, and we can only tolerate a small amount of sugar at a time. So that said, that's not what we're supposed to eat. Number 3 was cancer loves sugar. So there I am with my stage 4 cancer diagnosis, really worried about how long I'm going to live with a countdown timer on my life of 5 years. I better get everything in. And I realized that cancer loves sugar. And that is backed up by, I saw through Carnivore videos, the research of Professor Thomas Seyfried of Boston University. And him and many other of his professional colleagues and other researchers have found over hundreds of years, going back to previous researchers, it's been known that sugar grows with glucose, aka sugar. Sorry, cancer grows with glucose, aka sugar. And it's been proven many, many, many a time. And also been proven is that a low carbohydrate diet can shrink or stop cancer's tumors from growing larger. It can be very beneficial. And there's such a thing as a therapeutic carbohydrate restriction. And that's something that Thomas Seyfried talks about. So whereas my doctors had said there's nothing you can do, just eat what you want, with Thomas Seyfried, I now had a plan and I now knew what to do. And not only that, when I went on this therapeutic carbohydrate restriction, the carnivore diet, or a version of the carnivore diet, I feel amazing. I feel amazing. Even on the normal carnivore diet, like at the moment, I'm just eating what I call normal carnivore, which means that I'm not eating the small amounts that I need to get into a deep level of ketosis, but I am still in ketosis for some of the day. I feel amazing because before I got my diagnosis, in the year 18 months before that, I'd started to feel so tired. You know, it was fatigue. I needed to give it sort of medical thing because it wasn't just tiredness like you're tired and then you go to bed and then you wake up refreshed. No, it was like you, no matter how long you sleep, your body is exhausted. It feels like you're pushing a boulder uphill and you've got no energy. And I was still carrying on my life in this mode, but it just meant I wasn't able to do some of the social things I wanted or other things I wanted because my energy was very limited. And I didn't want to be like that because I was only 52. Was it 52? Probably around there at the time. And I thought I could, you know, a lot of people can live longer these days. I could have decades ahead of me, I thought, before I got this diagnosis. I thought, you know, I don't want to be living like this, like somebody who's on their last legs and, you know, um, and so for me, the healing took a long time because I was so sick, and going on carnivore didn't immediately give me back my energy. Going on carnivore immediately did some things for me. It immediately, I could feel the healing. I could feel the satisfaction. It's like your cells are nourished when you start eating the meat and the fat. It's like your body has just got a different level of satisfaction and happiness, and it speaks to your brain. And that's where I think the anxiety goes down, because when you're not nourishing yourself, even if you're eating a lot of food, your body is looking for nutrients. And so that's that anxiousness. Eat, 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 eat. And it's looking for nutrients. When you start eating the nourishment, your body can relax, and that helps your mind relax. And I just feel so much happier, more energetic, more upbeat since I've gone carnivore. And before I close, I'll just say that the people always ask me, well, where are you now? Are you still dying? That's what they want to know. Is it looking any better for you? And the answer is, I don't know. What I do know is that I feel good. I feel good. I enjoy my life. I've got energy. I do also know that my tumors have shrunk at the moment, and that's a good sign. However, with ovarian cancer, what can happen is your tumors can shrink. I did have chemotherapy. Your tumors can shrink and they grow back again. The stem cell grows back, and then eventually you become resistant to the chemotherapy. And that's where people are dying within the 5-year period, 85% of people with this diagnosis. I've only had this diagnosis for almost 2 years. So after I've had it 5 years, if I'm lucky, in that respect, I will be able to talk about it a little bit more. But right for now, what I do know is that this way of eating has given me such an incredible quality of life. It's given me such energy. I look great. You know, inside and outside, I feel so good. And so that for me is enough. I don't know whether it will make the difference, and I will not, I will outlive my prognosis or not. But I'm enjoying my life, every minute of it in the meantime. And that's as much as I want to ask for, or that's as much as I want to say that I'm getting from it. Do you know what I mean? It's not a guarantee.
So you said something about standard carnivore and eating too much to be fully in ketosis. I'm really curious about what you meant by that. So can you kind of go through like exactly what you're eating and then what you meant by the ketosis part?
Yeah. So when I first went carnivore, I'm a big eater. So when I was eating the veg, I was piling the plate high and all of this. And so when I went carnivore, I thought, wow, this is amazing. So I'd have a steak, I'd have a few eggs, maybe I'd have a bit of pork with it. Remember, I'm, you know, an older woman, and also I'm not doing a huge amount of, I am active every day, but I'm not like an athlete. I've been to the gym today, so I look as though I'm on it, cup, honestly, look at that. And this is what you get when you're in your 50s and you're carnivore. You don't have to be in the gym all the time to actually have amazing muscle density to really be going lean. And remember, this is somebody who has a tendency, I'm somebody who has a tendency to put on fat, to be fat. And I'm getting these results. So I was eating a lot, to answer your question earlier. And I was eating a lot, and that means that I may be not in therapeutic ketosis. What I mean by therapeutic ketosis is Professor Seafried says that if your glucose ketones index is under 2, and your glucose ketones index is your glucose divided by your ketones, and that should give you a number. And if that number is under 2, you're in the therapeutic carbohydrate restriction. And to do that, you need to eat less protein and more fat. And so I, at the time, was eating more protein and fat, but I would be in I would be in ketosis some of the time, but not therapeutic levels. So for therapeutic level of ketosis, I needed to reduce the amount of protein I was eating, and increase the fat. And so I just played around with it until I found a way of eating that would get me into the therapeutic ketosis. And I maintained that for months and months. And then I'm back out of it now. But I have a very boring way of eating now, but I love it. I love it. I'm saying it's boring because I know a lot of people like to have a lot of variety. My sister has beautiful meals. When we do these resets where we help other people to start primal eating. So that could be Ketovore to Carnivore is what we're calling primal eating. And so we all post our meals in there, and my sister's always lovely. Sometimes she'll have, prawns on it, or today she did some cheese covered in mince, covered in bacon. So she's always sort of innovating. And at the moment, I have the same meal every day, and I absolutely love it. And it is minced beef or ground beef, as you call it in America, and 2 eggs. And so I get the minced beef. It's in a 400-gram packet. So there's 454 grams in a pound. So it's just under a pound. I cut it in half. So now we're just under half a pound. I flatten it down a little bit, salt and pepper it. I put it in the air fryer. I leave it a little bit juicy in the middle. So I've got this big square sort of burger, I suppose you might want to call it. And then I've got my 2 eggs scrambled with tallow and butter on the side. And I have that twice a day. So about a pound of meat and 4 eggs per day. And that just, every single time I get excited.
So are you eating dairy?
So I do eat dairy. I think I am a little bit sensitive to dairy, but so I don't have it on a day-to-day at home. And I don't go out that often. But when I do go out, I'm okay. If they want to give me a burger, I'm going to have the cheese on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even though I'm doing like BB&E right now, that's kind of my outlook on it. Like if I'm going out somewhere, and they don't have just like a steak I can get, like chicken wings, Parmesan chicken wings isn't that bad. It's the better option, and that's what we should be looking for. Maybe not always perfect, but definitely
Absolutely
better. So how old are you now? I'm really bad at math. You're just going to have to tell me because you do not look like you're a day over 40, 30 even.
Well, thank you. I'm actually 54 and now, I'm 54 in 8 days time. And and I'm feeling the best, looking the best in terms of my body and my muscle tone and my fat percentage. I'm just like, I just want people to know, because women out there are struggling like I was. And I just think it's so sad that you can go to your doctor, have an illness like type 2 diabetes, and 20 years later you're still being treated, and now you're going to have your hand or your foot cut off. Or now you're going on to kidney dialysis. um, when there was no need for it. There was no need for it, because when you went in there 20 years ago, if your doctor had said to you, okay, here we do, we just reverse, just cut down your carbs. That's all they need to say. Because if we weren't trying right to be healthy, nobody would be out there drinking a spinach smoothie. Nobody. Because we are not doing that for fun. And even though some people like myself started to get a taste for it and think this is nice, we only think it's nice because we thought it was healthy. And I had all them vegetables on my plate thinking I'm doing absolutely the best here, cutting out the red meat and fat, thinking I'm doing the best. And all the time I'm up leveling my insulin, I'm up leveling my blood sugar, and I'm growing cancers. Because the other thing, the other bad thing about having a high insulin, because I didn't actually have a high blood sugar, so I would never have known. But I know that I must have had a high insulin because my cancer was growing so fast. And the other thing about insulin, it's not just that it locks the fat onto your body so your body can't burn fat. And then it makes you super hungry because your body can't burn its own fat, so it needs you to eat some more. The other thing it does, which is critical in the chronic health, is it's a growth factor. So having high insulin, you will be growing fibroids. Most 80% of women, by the time they get to their 50s, will have fibroids, even if they don't know. But I don't think that is as benign as we think it is. Anyway, so I had fibroids as well. I knew about that since 2018. And I was advised, don't need to do anything unless the symptoms are horrendous. And also, when you go to menopause, which would have been much later, when you go to menopause, it'll, the fibroids will stop. So insulin is a growth factor. A lot of women have fibroids, and cancers grow faster if you have high insulin. So for type 2 diabetics, they are much more likely to get cancer, and they are much more likely to die sooner with the cancer. And having any amount, when you increase your blood sugar by 1%, your A1C, you reduce your life expectancy by 10 to 12 years. That's how dangerous it is. And yet we're just being told, just take these medicines. No, it's so bad. So when people say, and I'm sure maybe they've said it to you when you're posting on social media, but you're not a doctor. Well, thank bleep, bleep, bleep for that. Because if you go to a doctor, you could end up with some sort of crazy disease or condition or complication. You could go blind. They won't tell you that you can just reverse it in 4 days. So when we're doing these, we call them primal body reset, 21-day primal body reset. And we had a guy, Tony, he did a video that we got on our channel. Tony, he came in and he had been trying for years to reduce his blood sugar with his doctor. He'd been on all sorts of different medication, but the medication was making him very, very sick. So he'd been through several different types of medication. Then a couple of years ago, he decided, okay, I'm going to start going to the gym almost every day. He did that, and his weight maintained, but he couldn't lose any weight. So when he heard me talking about this primal body reset, he got involved and did it. And he couldn't believe it, because he said that he started on the Monday. By the Thursday, all his blood sugars were in range. And when he first started, his millimolar per liter is the measurement that we use, and his was 17.17, and it should be, anywhere under 5.7. And his was 17.17. He was getting up a fasting blood sugar, fasted, of 17 millimolars per liter. And then he started this, and it went into the normal range below 5.7 within the first 4 days. And by the Saturday, everything was green for the blood sugar. And not only that, because as you know, when you reduce your blood sugar, your blood pressure comes down. It's like a miracle, but it's just something that's just a biological truth. It just happens when your blood sugar comes down, your blood pressure comes down, because that was something else that he would have been having to take medication for. But he'd stopped taking the medication because the medication was making him sicker than the original illness. And so it just hurts my heart that so many people are suffering and struggling, and yet they're at their doctor and they are not told.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. You said what was his starting blood sugar?
17 mmol stroke L, millimolar per liter.
1717. I don't know what that is in our conversion. I know it's.
I'll get it for you.
Yeah.
But later on when we come back, I'll tell you.
Yeah, just I'll. It's high. Whatever it is, it's really high.
It's way high. It's way high. I still think. Are you sure you got that right? Because that is too much. So I'm just putting it in 17. Oops.
I'm pretty sure to convert it, it's times 18.
Well, I'm just using one of the calculators online, so it's 306.
Wow. That is insanely high. Whoa. That's almost. I think you once you reach 400, is when you can go into a coma.
Yeah, and it came down under 100.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but
that's crazy.
Just, in our world, it's normal because not actually, it's not normal to be so high, but it's normal to come down from whatever it is to like normal range quite quickly. Not everyone can come down as fast as that, but most people can come down within that 3 weeks. Most people can come down and their blood sugar is consistently in the normal range.
Yeah. And that's just crazy because I've met people who've had high blood sugar, but to me, high blood sugar is like 180.
Yeah.
150, not 300. That's you have to be so insanely sick for that. Or so insanely stressed. That can cause it to be super high too. Just chronic stress.
Yeah, because he wasn't he wasn't, if you to look at him, you wouldn't think he would have that level of high blood pressure. That's what I mean. He was a bit overweight, but he wasn't crazy or anything.
Yeah. Was it blood pressure or blood sugar? Did I get confused?
No, that was blood sugar, but he also had high blood pressure, but I didn't give you the number for
that. So I honestly, this is a bad thing on my part. I'm not completely familiar with what fibroids are. I've heard the term a lot, and I've heard some of the symptoms, but what actually are they?
Yeah, they're just growths in the womb, and they're said to be benign. And so just randomly, you've got these growths growing in your womb. And some of the symptoms can be like very heavy periods, which I did have. Some people can feel tired and sick. But as I said, and other people can have other more serious symptoms, but I'm not sure now with these things growing. I don't think it's not harmful necessarily, because what happened to me is my ovarian cancers. I wonder if the two are connected. So I think for women who have fibroids, and I was looking for a natural answer for that once I found out I had it. I was told not to eat meat. So you see, it's just so wrong. And then you're eating more sugar, because if you can only have a choice of the 3 macronutrients, protein, which is like the meat, fats and carbs, when you're told not to eat so much protein, you're going to go on to the carbs, because fat also you need to be keeping low according to them, low fat and low meat. So they're pushing us towards a high carb diet, and it's the worst thing it's the worst thing for us. It's in so many ways. So
Mhm.
I encourage all women with fibroids just to do a low carb diet, because you'll be doing the best for your body, and make it a meat based real food diet, and you're going to absolutely be thriving.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I kind of have a theory on cancer, and I've heard this before, but I have not researched into it super far. It's just always something that's been sitting on my mind that I wholeheartedly believe is truth. So any kind of tumors, growths, cancers, those kind of things. What I heard from someone else, and I maybe have heard this a couple times in different wordings, is that basically you have all these harmful cells in your body, and they're just distributed throughout your body. But it's how they attack you. It's attacking your whole body when it's throughout your whole body, right? So what your body does is takes all these cells and condenses it and puts it in one area, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's not essential for us to have a uterus. It's not essential for us to have a pancreas. We don't need two kidneys. What are the most prostate? These are the most common places that people get cancers. And
ah,
these are all the organs that we don't need to live. Now, I wholeheartedly believe that you should not remove these organs unless you have to, because
yeah,
they are essential to our body, but we
yes,
don't need them to survive. We need
yeah,
them to thrive, but maybe not survive. So your body takes all these harmful cells and it combines them together and puts a growth somewhere. And
yeah,
that's almost your body's way of protecting the rest
yeah,
of your body and only screwing up one little spot of it. So I
yeah,
think that makes a lot of sense, especially because, you have these cancer tumors and they grow and they grow and they grow. And eventually they keep growing until they're throughout your whole body. And, there's almost no coming back from that. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it would be really, really hard and it would be really, really stressful. So it's great to hear that even if it's not 100% gone away, you feel better and you're happy and you're healthy, and that's what matters the most. It doesn't matter what the doctor says, what the x-rays say. If you feel good, then if you die in 3 years, you die happy, right?
yes,
And
yes.
you don't look like you're about to, fall over and die. Like you really don't. You look like you could go run a marathon if you wanted to.
Yes, yes, preach it earlier. Yeah, bring it on. The only reason I'm not doing it is because I'm busy this afternoon. But that is running a marathon. But I like your theory. I like your theory about cancer there. That's your body's way of protecting you. And listen, it wouldn't have to protect us so much if we weren't eating all this BS food, so-called food in inverted commas. Um, but I really I really feel that we can look at cancer as a chronic disease,
Mm-hmm.
and that we can manage it, and that at some times during your cancer journey, you're in an illness phase, you're spiraling downwards, like my own body is being taken over by the cancer. So like those times when I was all that tired and fatigued, and then I found out I had cancer, I was kind of relieved because I thought, oh, thank goodness, this isn't just normal life. There's something wrong with me. um so and now I feel that the cancer is secondary, so I'm in a healing phase. That means that my body is doing much better than my cancer. Or, my cancer, I suppose, is part of me at the moment. But I'm hopeful that as my body is now stronger, and it will only continue to improve, that it will be able to fight off the remaining cells from any further growth. And another thing that I really love that you said, and I think shows such insight, is we don't need our let's use the example of our uterus to survive, but we do need it to thrive. And I have not had my uterus or any other parts removed for that reason, because I believe we need this to thrive. Now, I may have had that done if it were a cure for what I have. But you can have, if you have ovarian cancer, you can have your uterus removed or your fallopian tubes. Often it starts in the fallopian tubes or your ovaries, and you can still have a recurrence in the space where they were. So when they explained to me, because last year I was having treatments and they said to me, we can do an operation and we will remove, because it had spread out within the whole area. That's why it was stage 4. Some of it was on the liver, some of it was on my bowel, some of it was on all these different things, spleen, omentum. And they have to do a big margin around the area they cut out. So they said I could have organ damage, I could lose my bowel. I could have liver damage, all of this. It would be a long operation. I would have to have 3 different or 4 different surgeons, one for each speciality that was concerned within the operation. And I said, well, okay, and how much extra life would you anticipate if I was to take up your offer of this operation? And they said 12 to 18 months I would get extra, but in their words, I may have organ damage. I may have a colostomy bag, so I can no longer, if people don't know, go to the toilet through my bowel. I would have a bag to do that with. And I just said, do you know what? It doesn't sound like the pros outweigh the cons, because that operation would take a lot of recovering from. So those 12 to 18 months won't necessarily be healthy. And then can you imagine the trauma? I know that it can be useful to have a colostomy bag, don't get me wrong, but the trauma of that as well, you're not exactly going to be living life skipping in fields and that sort of thing. So I decided at the time that no, I didn't want to have that operation. And I've been lucky that I have responded to chemotherapy. But I think that the carnivore diet, or the primal eating and the primal lifestyle, really helped my body to thrive during the chemotherapy.
Yeah. And I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of chemo, but it helps for some people, and some people it makes it worse. So to each their own.
Yeah, well, I'm with you on not being a fan of chemotherapy. And actually, when I first was diagnosed, I did not take the chemotherapy straight away. I said, let me see if this diet's going to help. Now, at the time, I was new to the diet and the carnivore, and I didn't know about the therapeutic ketosis. Sorry, yes, that's what it's called. Therapeutic carbohydrate restriction, that you had to get into a therapeutic level of ketosis, and I didn't know all those, further details. So I was eating a carnivore diet, but I was eating quite a lot of food. And also, because of the stage of the cancer and the type of the cancer, that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough, because my belly started off flat and grew out to like 9 months pregnant within 3 months. And so that was very scary, seeing that, because as the cancer grows, it puts fluid into your belly. So it actually looked like I was just about to have a baby any moment. The people would start congratulating me on the streets and saying, "Oh, so lovely. When are you due? Is it your first one?" Blah blah blah.
That's actually, so endometriosis is one of the conditions I had, and there's a lot of people that think it is almost exactly the same thing as cancer, just renamed. Because it is gross on your uterus, on your fallopian tubes, on your ovaries. It can actually grow almost anywhere in your body. It's lesions, almost like scar tissues, and throughout that time of the month is when it becomes especially painful, but it actually affects you all the time. So, how they remove these is they go in I can never figure out how to say that word. They go in through where they cut a tiny incision near your belly button.
Yeah.
whatever that's called. And they remove these lesions, but that's the only way they can diagnose it is also doing the surgery. So it's basically very painful, but also it does the same thing. It literally makes you look like you're 9 months pregnant. It's crazy.
Oh, the
Um,
endometriosis makes you look like you're 9 months pregnant.
mhm,
Yeah. Yeah. They're very similar, and it makes sense that they've all got the same root,
mhm,
that basically too much carbohydrates, too much sugar, it causes all of it.
yeah. Too much stress too.
Yes, yes. But I think the stress is because of the too much sugar.
Yes.
Because although we have stressors that come at us externally, when we're on carnivore, we can manage, we can get through, but when we're on the sugar diet or the healthy carbohydrate diet, stress really takes us out.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I've noticed is if on a sugary diet, you have these external stressors, but it's almost like you can't shake them. They're,
Yeah.
they're so present in your mind. But when you're carnivore, like, it's not like this external stressor is the end of the world, you know? Like, there's hope for the next day. And when your brain is so inflamed and when you're sick all the time, you almost have no hope. So when you're carnivore and you have hope, it really helps relieve stress. And I was listening to some doctor the other day. Don't remember his name. I don't remember his name, but he was really talking about how good diet is everything, but what is also everything is low stress. And he was saying basically, if you eat a sugary peach cobbler and then you eat a steak, but you're eating the steak and you're with people who hate you and are causing you stress and are constantly complaining, why are you eating steak? Blah, 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 blah. You're going to die. And then you're with people and you're eating these vegetables and these sugars and they're like, oh my God, so uplifting. You're doing so good. Basically, you're going to have lower insulin response to the vegetables with this calm environment than you would with the steak and these people that are like trying to bash you, basically. And I think that's really important because even though carnivore is what is going to heal your body, your environment is a lot. And, not everybody can change their environment, but do what you can.
Do what you can. I think that's such a powerful little story there to show the power of the environment, because sometimes I do forget that, because my environment is quite easy. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm older now. My son is fabulous. He's grown up. I have this lovely purpose to spread the word about this way of eating and help other people. And so, yeah, I'm not saying life feels easy and I've got no challenges, whatever, but I really get to enjoy life. And so I hear what you're saying about people who are not necessarily in the stage of life they want to be, and they're not necessarily with the people they want to be with, and how stressful and harmful that is for your body and your psyche and your health in general.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Steph, thank you so much for this today. I really love this talk, and I really liked hearing your story. Is there anything else you would like to talk about?
No, it has been my pleasure to be here with you earlier. I've really enjoyed speaking to you as well. I'd love to have you come on my channel and talk about your story.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just like to invite anybody who's enjoyed this to my YouTube channel, which is called Happy Sexy Health. We share more stories about healing through primal eating and a primal lifestyle. So I'm on Instagram as well. And where am I? All the places, Instagram and Facebook, at Happy Sexy Health and Stephanie Taylor.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. For my audience, go follow Stephanie, and in a couple months or a couple weeks, like how much longer we got of this course, I don't know. We're gonna be certified health coaches.
Yay.
So If you want to work with Steph, you can work with Steph. If you want to work with me, you can work with me. But yeah, go follow her. If you want her to coach you, reach out to her in a couple months' time or whenever she's doing that, because I have no clue. Oh wait, you're already a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
So
already.
yeah, go reach out to her and have a good day, guys. I really enjoyed this talk. I think this is really informational. Thank you, Steph. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.